All right, guys. Am I audible and is my video buffering anymore? If you can hear me, then please type your response in the chat box. And I'm sorry for that sulky face. I didn't know my camera is on. Otherwise, I usually smile. Sorry for that sulky face. I didn't know my camera was on and the session was online. All right, so the buffering is gone. So let me, without wasting any time, start the session. So this one session, guys, good evening all of you. So this session is on the basics of criminal law. And I'm guessing that some of the students in this session are my online students as well, who've already attended this session, but then this is going to be a good refresher. This is going to be a good refresher, revision for you. This was the first class, I'm sure, when you would come to the Clat Possible system and I start with your criminal law syllabus, then this was probably the first class that we had. So here in this class, we'll be talking about basics of criminal law. We'll be discussing some of the important elements of criminal law. All right, guys, can we not just ask random questions to each other in the chat box and maybe now focus on the class? I am here now. All right, so maybe you can stop with the kind of not so relevant questions in the chat box at this point in time and maybe focus on what we're going to do in this session today. All right, guys. Okay, so without wasting any time, guys, let us come to the very basics of criminal law. All right. All the students who've joined this session and who haven't attended this class or who haven't attended any class on legal reasoning per se, in this class, I'm going to be talking to you about the very basics of criminal law. What exactly is criminal law? How is criminal law different from civil law? How do you fight a case in criminal law? What is the nature of punishment in criminal law? And how is all that different from civil law? All right. So for starters, guys, I mean, can you tell me what are the basic differences between civil law and criminal law? Like, I go to a civil lawyer, what would be the issues that I could probably have? Maybe I have a property issue. Maybe I have a contract issue. Maybe I have a, pension issue. Maybe I have a salary issue. Maybe I want a divorce. Let's hope not. I mean, I'm not married, but still, if I have a divorce issue after the divorce, whether who's going to have the child's custody, I will go to a civil lawyer. And if it's a case involving a rape or a murder or a kidnapping or abduction or, a theft or dacoity, I'm going to go to a criminal lawyer. So what do you think? Why is it that some of these areas like property and marriage and divorce have come under civil law while some other areas like murder and rape and kidnapping have come under criminal law? Who can tell me that? Who can tell me? What do you think? Let's make this an interactive session, guys. What do you think is the reason? What is the reason why some areas have come under civil law and some other areas have come under criminal law? Quickly in the chat box, guys. Who's going to answer this question in the chat box? I am reviewing your answers in the chat box. Who's going to tell me? All right. So I'm getting different answers. I think you don't really have to lay a lot of focus on, the intricacies of the answer, guys. It's a very commonsensical answer. I mean, let's say I tell you somebody breached a contract versus I tell you somebody was raped and murdered. Don't you think one news item is going to have a very grave impact on your mind as compared to the other? Of course, yes. All right, let's come to the next question. I tell you somebody breached a contract versus I tell you that somebody raped and murdered somebody. Again, the intensity, don't you think that one news is way more intense than the other? Of course, yes. Then let's come to the third thing. I tell you that somebody breached a contract versus I tell you that somebody murdered someone. Now, the punishment. Don't you think the punishment for one thing will be way more than the other? Don't you think so, guys? Of course, yes. So these are some of the basic differences, okay? This is not rocket science. This is not nuclear physics. These are some of the basic differences, all right? The way we react to situations. For example, when a crime takes place in front of our eyes, then the kind of response that we give versus when a civil wrong happens in front of our eyes, what is the kind of response that we give, all right? When it's a murder, when it's a terrorist attack, we are definitely shocked, we feel terrified, we feel petrified, we feel threatened. But that's not the case when somebody is taking a divorce with his wife, or somebody is fighting a taxation dispute with the government department, or somebody is having some salary issues with his company. We don't really feel threatened, we don't really feel afraid, we don't really feel petrified, so on and so forth. So these are some of the basic differences between civil law and criminal law, guys. Then there is a world of difference between how you fight civil law and criminal law cases. So as you all know, guys, civil dispute is something that only impacts an individual. So like for example, if I breach a contract with Bree, if let us say I and B enter into a contract and I breach the contract, then it is not going to impact anybody else. So since it's a problem between the two of us only, obviously the two of us can go to a court and get the dispute resolved amicably, or with the help of a judge. But if it's a crime, guys, then what you need to understand is it's not just the victim who suffers the impact, the entire society is kind of involved. Okay, so like for example, tell me something. Let's say there's a terrorist attack in a city where a terrorist kills 5 people in a house. All right, a terrorist, let us say, kills 5 people in a house. Now, in this situation, let's say this terrorist is now living in your locality. Would you be all right with it? Will you be all right living with this terrorist? The answer is absolutely not. What if this terrorist goes and lives in some locality in Bangalore? Will those people be all right living with him? Of course not. What about Chennai? Of course not. So there is not one person in this country who would be all right in living with that terrorist. So basically, you see what is happening here. Everybody needs a solution. In the contract case, maybe just the two of us needed a solution. But when it comes to living with that terrorist, nobody goddamn wants to live with that terrorist. And everybody needs a solution. Everybody is like, no, make sure that he's not a part of our society. Okay. Now, when it's a dispute involving an individual can definitely go to a court of law. But when it becomes a dispute, when it becomes an issue that involves the entire society at large, can the entire society at large approach the court at the same time? That is just impractical. That is not possible. And which is why in criminal law cases, guys, the societies, all of them who need a solution, are represented in a court of law by the state, by the government. Okay? While civil law disputes are fought by individuals, criminal law disputes, since the entire society is involved and entire societies can't go to the court for every Tom, Dick and Harry crime that keeps happening, they are represented by the state, by the government. Okay, which is why whenever you see the nomenclature of these criminal law cases, you will always see that the one party is the culprit and the other party is not the victim, but it is the state. I'm sure A versus state of UP, B versus state of Maharashtra, C versus state of Tamil Nadu, so on and so forth. Okay, so these are some of the basic differences between civil law and criminal law. And now I'm going to come to the major part of today's session, which is the basic elements of crime. All right. Now let us start with some of these basic elements of crime, guys. Now, when I talk about the basic elements of crime, guys, you see, let me start with a very simple example. All right. Let me start with a very simple example. Let us say that A is driving his car and it's pitch dark. There is almost zero visibility on the road. All of a sudden, a dog comes in his way. He steers his car to the left, not realizing that a pedestrian B is standing on the sidewalk. And now A steers his car to the left, hits pedestrian B, and pedestrian B is dead. Example 2, let us say A is driving his car, it's pitch dark, and at that moment he sees B standing on the sidewalk. Now A and B have been arch enemies, A and B have been staunch enemies, and A has always been looking for opportunities to hurt B, to kill B, and now he thinks it's the perfect time. Why? Because nobody else is present around. If I hit B, if I kill B, then there will be no witnesses present. And so now he steers his car to the left, hits B, and B is dead. Now in both the cases, guys, the one thing which is common is that both the A's are responsible for causing the death of both the B's. But one big difference or one major difference between example 1 and example 2 is, go ahead, type it in the comment box. What is the big difference between example 1 and example 2? Quickly. What is the one big difference between example 1 and example 2? Who can give me the answer? Quickly. I'm looking at your comments in the chat box. Absolutely correct. So some of the students have already given me the answer. It's the intention to cause the death. Okay, it's the intention to cause the death. Guys, which is present in which example? Present in example number? Present in example number 2, but absent in example number 1. All right. And this intention to commit the crime, or this intention to murder in criminal law, guys, is known as the concept of mens rea. All right. And now, although I'll be discussing the concept of mens rea in this 1 hour session, please understand mens rea is by far the most important rule in criminal law, guys. Okay. Because in criminal law, until unless a person has the intention behind committing a crime, he cannot be held liable for committing that crime. Now, this is not a absolute rule. There are always exceptions in criminal law, but the general rule is that in criminal law, until unless the person is having the intention behind committing the crime, he or she cannot be held liable for committing that crime. Now, a lot of students also ask me the question, sir, why is intention or the rule of mens rea so sacrosanct in criminal law? Who can give me the answer to that question? Why is the rule of mens rea so sacrosanct or so important in criminal law? Tell me something. Tell me, guys. Why is the rule of mens rea so important or so sacrosanct in criminal law? And let's add another question to that. Why is the rule of mens rea not so important in civil law? Why does intention play no role in criminal law while intention plays all the important role in, intention plays no role in civil law while it plays a very important role in criminal law? I'll tell you the reason, guys. I'll tell you the reason. All right. So let's figure out the reason for a second, guys. Okay. Let us figure out the reason for a second. Now, you see in criminal law, guys, you see in criminal law versus civil law. Let's first come to civil law. In civil law, guys, there is a equation at times which is compensation is equal to necessity. All right. Now, what is this equation? Compensation is equal to necessity in criminal law, guys. Listen to me very carefully. All right. Let's talk about the rule of vicarious liability. Let's talk about the rule of vicarious liability. Let us say that A is the master and B is the servant. The master asks the servant to fetch something from the market. On the way, the driver meets with an accident and injures a pedestrian C. This pedestrian C is now admitted in the hospital. And the doctors say that if we don't get 5 lakh rupees, then we can't treat this guy. And this guy in all probability is going to die. Now tell me something. This 5 lakh rupees of compensation, what does it become? In a way, it becomes necessity. Yes or no? This 5 lakh compensation, in a way, it becomes necessity. Would you agree with me? Yes or no? Absolutely yes. Okay, so this 5 lakh rupees of compensation becomes a necessity. If this money doesn't reach this guy is going to die. So there is a court case and the judge says that quickly get him the 5 lakh rupees or he's going to die. Bring the person who's responsible for the accident. Bring the person who's responsible for the accident. And now the driver is dragged to a court of law. The court says, dude, just pay him 5 lakh rupees, otherwise he's going to die. And now the driver says that, Lord Justices, I had absolutely no intention behind hurting this guy. I was driving, a dog came in my way, I steered my car to the left. I had no clue that this pedestrian C is standing on the sidewalk. Now, tell me something, guys. All right, there is no intention. All right, there is absolutely no intention, Mr. Driver. But between your intention and saving the life of this guy, what do you think should be the priority? Your intention or this guy's life? And I don't think there are any two guesses to this question. Obviously, the guy's life. The life of this person is definitely the priority over intention. So the judge will say that, Mr. Driver, I do understand that you had absolutely no intention behind this accident, but you see, we can't let this person die. If the 5 lakh doesn't reach, then this person is gonna die. So irrespective of your intention, the 5 lakh needs to be paid. And this is how we come to the rule that intention will play no role in civil law, because it's a question of compensation, it's a question of necessity, and intention can't really be prioritized over this person's life. All right. Now there is another problem. Okay. What is the next problem? The driver accepts the fact. The driver says that, all right, Lord Justices, I understand that, my intention is definitely not as important as this person's life. So hold me liable. Hold me liable. But the problem is, Lord Justices, you asked me to pay 5 lakh rupees. I haven't even seen 5 lakh rupees in my entire life. Forget about paying it. Now we are back to square one. We should hold this person, driver, liable. Intention, no intention, immaterial. But he doesn't even have the money to pay. Now, in this cycle of necessity, guys, who do you think is numbered next? क्या लगता है किसका next number आएगा? Absolutely, you guessed it right, the master. The master who says, Lord Justices, I was not even present there. When this accident took place, I was actually watching TV. I was not even present anywhere around. The judge will tell him that, look, mister, your driver committed this accident. He had no intention, but still we first held him liable because the guy's life needed to be saved. But holding him liable actually proved worthless because he has no money to pay. You asked your driver to drive the car. You asked your driver to do this thing, and now you would be held liable for paying the money. So finally, the master pays the money to this guy. This guy's life is saved, and we are able to fulfill this equation, which is compensation is equal to necessity. Okay, so this is how different rules in civil law are made, guys, which is why intention plays no role in civil law. But in criminal law, guys, the picture is absolutely different. Okay, the picture in criminal law is absolutely different. Here, we need to basically segregate active threats from the society. All right, we need to segregate active threats from the society. Somebody who is possibly a threat for the society needs to be segregated from the society so that we can feel safe. Now, let's say this person who's driving the car and all of a sudden a dog comes in his way and he accidentally hits this person B. Do you think this person is something that we should be threatened of? Do you think this person is actually a source of threat for the rest of us? No. He just committed an accident, just like we are involved in so many accidents. But then let's say this is one person who deliberately starts his car every day on a rampage in order to kill people on the road. Now, is this person a threat for us? Of course, yes, because tomorrow if he's out on the road doing the same thing, we might be one of the people on the road. So yes, this guy who's intentionally doing this act, who's intentionally on this rampage spree and who's intentionally causing the death of the people needs to be segregated from the society. All right. And which is why we will take intention into consideration, guys. All right. Another important thing why intention is very important in criminal law, guys, is that when we segregate this person from the society, when we actually segregate this person from the society, we are kind of taking away a lot from him. Okay, like this person who, let's say, is a rapist and a murderer. Now he needs to be segregated from the society, all right. But in doing that, what will we do to him? We will perhaps put him behind the bars for the rest of his life. We will keep him in a small room, snatch all majority of his rights and liberties and family and luxuries for not maybe a few months, for not a few years, but for the rest of his life. So this segregation process is very harsh on the accused, on the person who's ultimately held liable. It's very harsh on him. Okay, which is why the least we can do as lawmakers is just make sure that we do not, kind of ruin a person's life for something behind which he had no intention, for something which was the result of an innocent mistake. So these two reasons come together and make mens rea or intention one of the most important rules of criminal law. What is that? In a nutshell, guys, number one, the purpose of criminal law is to segregate threat elements from the society. And who's a threat element? Somebody who commits a crime intentionally, not accidentally. If it's an accident, then that person is definitely not a threat for us. Reason number two, this segregation process on the person who's convicted is a very harsh deal. It's a very brutal punishment. And therefore, the least we can do is just make sure that nobody's life is ruined for something behind which he had no intention. So two reasons why intention is sacrosanct in criminal law. All right. Moving on to the next point, guys. The next point is actus reus. Now, what is actus reus? Actus reus is the criminal act. Okay. Actus reus is the criminal act. So, for instance, if with the intention to cause somebody's death, I shoot that person. Now, the act of shooting is actus reus and the intention, which is the mental element, is mens rea. All right. And finally, the third element here is injury. So, all these three elements, again, not a blanket rule. There are exceptions. But the general rule in criminal law is that all these three elements must be met for a person to be held liable in criminal law, which is there must be the intention to commit the crime, mens rea. there must be the physical act of crime, actus reus, and as a result of that physical act, there must be some kind of an injury. Okay, now there are two kinds of injury. The injury can either be physical in nature or mental in nature. All right. Don't mind my writing on the board. I know it's really bad, but that's because I'm not really in the habit of writing on the whiteboard. But I hope it's legit, okay? Because I'm almost narrating everything that I'm writing on the board. So injuries are of two types, guys, mental and physical. All right. Now, these three stages, guys, mens rea, actus reus, and injury, are further subdivided and they form the stages of crime, the different stages of crime. Okay. Now, even when I was doing the sheets with some of my Clat Possible students, a lot of them actually asked me, sir, what is the difference between motive and intention? What is the difference between, what is motive, what is intention, and in which case motive is relevant, in which case intention is relevant. So now let us quickly come to the point of the differences between motive and intention, and largely what is the what are the different stages of crime. Okay, what are the different stages of crime? So coming to the different stages of crime, guys: motive, intention, design, preparation, and attempt. Okay, these are the different stages of crime. Now, majority of the questions that you will probably have in the CLAT paper, guys, majority of the questions that you will probably have in the CLAT paper will be from one of these different stages. Okay, so let us see what these different stages are, and by way of examples, I'm going to be discussing these different stages. So let us start with the first one, which is motive. Okay, now motive, guys, what is motive? Let me start with a simple example. Let us say that two people, A and B, are dating, and both of them have a breakup on the 11th of October, which is today. And now the boy and the girl, they study in the same college. The boy goes to the college the next day and sees that his ex-girlfriend is with some new boy in the college 24 hours after the breakup. Now, when he sees this, he's furious, he's mad, he's kind of crazy, and he's like, what the hell? It's not even been 24 hours, and she's already with some other boy in the college. And in his anger, in his frustration, he ends up saying, I wish she was dead. Now, the relevance of this point is very critical in criminal law, guys. Why? Because you see, when for the first time such a feeling creeps in your mind, where you want somebody to be dead, where you want somebody to be dead, where you want somebody to be hurt, where you want somebody to be in pain, then the reason or the background story behind why you want it is what is known as motive in criminal law, guys. ठीक है? जब आप चाहते हो किसी के साथ कुछ बुरा हो, किसी को चोट पहुंचे, कि कोई किसी परेशानी में फंसे, तो उस बुरा चाहने के पीछे की वजह या रीजन को हम क्रिमिनल लॉ में मोटिव कहते हैं. Like for example, guys, let us say a wife has been murdered. Okay, a woman has been murdered, and later we get to know that she was having an extramarital affair. Now, when we get to know that she was having an extramarital affair, am I kind of saying that the husband has killed the wife? Of course not. I never said that the husband killed the wife. But you see, guys, the husband definitely has a reason to kill the wife. So what does this extramarital affair in the question become? It becomes a motive. It becomes a reason behind why the husband can probably have the intention to commit the crime, or why the husband can probably have the reason to commit the crime. Okay. Similarly, let us say a person A dies. All right. A person A dies, and we get to know that he's been murdered. Later, we also get to know that because of his death, there is this relative B who's gonna get 10 crore rupees. Now, did I say that the relative has murdered this guy? I didn't say that. But what does the relative again have? The relative has the motive to perhaps commit the murder. He has the reason to perhaps commit this crime. So this insurance money in a way becomes what? It becomes the motive behind commission of the crime. Okay. So this is the purpose that motive serves in criminal law, guys. This is the purpose that motive serves in criminal law. Next, let's come to the next point. Okay. So the next point here would be intention. So what did the guy say? The last thing that the guy said was that I wish the girl is dead. Now, he didn't decide anything per se. I mean, maybe she dies in a car crash, maybe she dies in a plane crash. I just want something bad to happen to her. But then things start to escalate. He goes to the college every day. Every day he sees his ex with this new guy. Every day his anger increases, it increases. And then there are a lot of people who come and tell him that, dude, I saw this girl of yours 6 months ago when I was at CCD. Another boy comes and tells him, guy, you know what? 3 months ago, I had gone to see a movie and I had seen your ex with this guy. Another guy comes and says that, dude, I've seen them hanging out at the canteen all the goddamn time. And when he hears all these things, he just loses it. He's like, what the hell? She's been cheating on me. She's been taking advantage of my innocence, of my trust. Everybody's laughing at me. I've become a laughing stock. I've become the center of all the jokes. And one day his frustration reaches the point that he's like, dude, enough is enough. I'm going to kill her. I am going to end her life. This is the only way that I can teach her a lesson. Now, guys, see, something very important has happened. What? The last thing that he said was, I wish she was dead. And the next thing he's saying is, I will kill her. So basically, his wish has now turned into a will. And your wish, when it turns into a will, guys, what is formed in criminal law? Well, that is the day that intention is formed in criminal law. Okay? That is the day that intention is formed in criminal law. When your wish turns into your will. Initially, you had a reason. And when you decide to do something about it, is the day that intention is formed in criminal law. And now that he's formed his intention, as you read here, now that he's formed his intention, let's come to the next point. He comes to his rocking chair and starts thinking, okay, now that I've decided to kill her, how should I do it? How should I go about it? Maybe I should stab her, maybe I should shoot her, maybe I should push her off the terrace. I think the best way to kill her would be to buy a gun and a silencer and shoot her. Okay? The best way would be to buy a gun and a silencer and shoot her. Now, what has he started giving his intention, guys? He has started giving his intention a design, a kind of a skeletal framework, okay? He started giving it a design, a skeletal framework. Now, the big question that comes in the paper, guys, all right? Let's come to the big question. Has A committed a crime so far? Now, that's the important question here. So, if I ask you, where is all this happening so far? Some people tell me college, which is a very stupid answer. If your answer is college, then I'd perhaps advise you to give up on the CLAT prep. But of course, the right answer is that everything till this point was happening in this person's mind. All right? Everything till this point was happening in this person's mind. Has this guy A committed a crime yet? And you are absolutely correct, guys. I can see the answers in the chat box. Absolutely not. All right? Absolutely not. So what is the big rule here, guys? What is the big rule here? Till the stage of mens rea. All right? Till the stage of mens rea, it can never, ever, ever be a crime in criminal law. All right? Mens rea in itself can never be a crime in criminal law. सोचने मात्र से criminal law में कभी भी crime नहीं होता है. And I mean, obvious सी बात है, guys. If for thinking people are liable for committing crimes, then I am sure that we all have thought about certain crazy and stupid and criminal things. If somebody starts saying that, okay, why did you think about it? You will be jailed. I think the entire planet Earth would be inside the jail. So for thinking, आपको जो सोचना है वो सोचो. You can't possibly be held liable for committing a crime. All right. Let's move on to the next stage, guys. From this point, let us move on to the next stage. So, I wish she was dead. I will kill her. How? I'm going to buy a gun and a silencer and shoot her. Now, let us say he gets up from his rocking chair, goes to an arms and ammunition shop, shows his license and shows his ID card, pays the money, buys a gun, buys a silencer, buys bullets, goes to a shooting range and practices how to fire. Okay, practices how to fire. Now, again, guys, something very critical has happened. You see, so far, everything was happening in his mind for the first time. For the first time, he's actually doing something criminal he's doing something physical towards the criminal intention. And what is he basically doing? By going to the arms and ammunition shop, by buying a gun, by buying a silencer, by practicing how to fire, what is he doing? He is preparing to commit his crime. Okay? He is preparing to commit his crime. Now, big question number two, I'm sorry, that comes in the CLAT paper, guys. Has this guy committed a crime now? Has he? Yes or no? All right. So now this is going to open the Pandora's box, guys. This is going to open the Pandora's box now. So the rule is simple. Till the stage of preparation, it is not a crime in criminal law. However, there are two exceptions. What are these exceptions? Exception number one, special offenses. And exception number two, if the preparatory step in itself is a punishable offense. Okay. So what are the special offenses in criminal law, guys? The first special offense is sedition. The second special offense will be terrorism. The third special offense here would be counterfeit. And the fourth special offense here would be dacoity. So what is the rule, guys? Very simple. Till the stage of preparation, it is not a crime except in two cases where, number one, if the preparation is for one of the special offenses. And what are the different special offenses? There are four: sedition, terrorism, counterfeit, and dacoity. Or the second exception is if the preparatory step in itself is an unlawful offense. Okay? If the preparatory step in itself is something which is illegal. Now let us come to our question quickly, guys. Now first things first, this guy was preparing to commit the murder of his girlfriend. Has murder been mentioned as one of the special offenses? No. And therefore, as per point number one, is he doing anything wrong? Not really. Let's come to the second point, his preparatory step. Now he goes to an arms and ammunition shop, he shows his license, he buys a gun, he buys bullets, he goes to a shooting range, and he practices how to fire. Anything illegal that's happened here? I don't think so. Anything unlawful that's happened here? Again, I don't think so. So as per point number two, whatever he's doing, anything wrong there? Not really. Now just bring both the points together. The entire act, anything unlawful? No. Anything illegal? Not really. And so for the stage of preparation, liable, not liable? I don't think he's going to be liable because neither is he preparing for one of the special offenses, neither is his preparatory step unlawful in any manner. All right. Let's quickly come to another question on this point. By the way, guys, all these questions are past year CLAT, NLS, NLU Delhi, NALSAR questions. Okay. All the questions that I discuss in my class, are past year questions. Okay. There's not really any question that I discuss in the class which is outside the past year papers by the CLAT committee or NLS or NALSAR or the different law schools. All right. Let's quickly come to the next question, guys. Let's say A decides to murder B, and for this purpose, he takes a knife from his kitchen. And later, he abandons his plan. He starts his car in order to kill B, but then later he abandons the plan. He puts the knife back in the kitchen. Now, let's analyze this question, guys. A was preparing to commit what crime again? Murder. Is it one of these special offenses? No. All right. His preparatory step, guys. What is his preparatory step? Owning and possessing a kitchen knife, taking that kitchen knife to the car and starting the car. So owning and possessing a kitchen knife and going to the car towards it, guys. Let's first come to owning and possessing a kitchen knife. Anything wrong there? Anything illegal? Absolutely not, guys. There is absolutely nothing illegal when it comes to owning a kitchen knife. All right. So the preparation is not for one of the special offenses. The preparatory step, which is owning a kitchen knife, is something which is absolutely lawful. Final answer. Can he be liable for the stage of preparation? Again, no. Let us move to another question. Okay. Let us move to another question. Let's say that A decides to kill B, and for this purpose, he takes a gun from his drawer. And then he starts his car, but then later changes his mind, drops his plan, and puts the gun back in the drawer. Again, he was preparing to commit what crime? Murder. Is murder mentioned as one of the four special offenses? No. Let us come to the preparatory step. All right. Now, preparatory step is owning and possessing a gun. All right. Now, owning and possessing a gun, guys, what do you think? That is lawful or unlawful? Well, the answer for this question, guys, the answer for this question is it depends. Okay, it depends. Now, these are some of these tricky questions that come in the CLAT paper, guys. These are one of the open-ended questions that you get in the CLAT paper. Why? Because you see, all that the examiner has told us in this question is that it's a gun. All right. Now, if it's a gun, then there are so many possibilities. Like, for example, could this gun be an AK-47? Of course, yes. And if it's an AK-47, lawful, unlawful, it's unlawful. Could this gun also be a licensed revolver? Of course, yes. And if it's a licensed revolver, then lawful, unlawful, well, it becomes lawful. So either we are told it's an AK-47, the answer is simple, or we are told it's a licensed revolver, the answer is again simple. But since we are told nothing, it could go anyway. And if answers to questions can go anyway in both the liable or the not liable way, guys, then the best answer for any such question in the options would be it cannot be determined or CBD. Okay, CBD is going to be the best answer for this question, because you can't conclusively say whether the answer is lawful, whether the answer is liable or not liable. Okay. Quickly moving on to the next question, guys. Again, similar question. Let's say A decides to kill B. And for this purpose, let us say he now procures some poison, but then later abandons his plan, throws the poison in the gutter, throws the poison in the gutter. Again, preparation for murder, is it one of the special offenses? No. Coming to the preparatory step, owning, procuring and possessing poison. All right. Owning, procuring and possessing poison. Again, now you know the mistake that students make is they start jumping to an answer. They read the word poison and all of a sudden they're like, oh god, poison is something which is definitely wrong, dude. I think my answer should be that the person should be liable for the stage of preparation. But hold on. Never answer your question in haste, guys. Because the moment you stop for 10 seconds and start thinking about the answer, what would you see? Start thinking what this poison could, what all things can this poison possibly be? Well, could it be a rat kill? It can be. Well, could it be a mortine mosquito killer? Yes, it can be. Could it also be potassium cyanide, which is prohibited, only labs can possess it? Yes, it can be. Could it be snake venom, which again the possession of which becomes absolutely unlawful? Yes, it can be. So you see, this again flows both in the lawful and unlawful direction. Okay, this again flows both in the lawful and unlawful direction. This could be a rat kill, this could be mortine, the possession of which is absolutely lawful. This could also be your, snake venom, or this could also be your prohibited potassium cyanide, in which case it becomes unlawful. And which is why either we are told that it's a rat kill, or it's potassium cyanide, or it's snake venom, in which case the answer is clear. But since nothing has been given and the only word mentioned for us is poison, well, the best answer for the question again becomes it cannot be determined. All right. So these are again all past year questions, guys. These are all past year questions that I just asked you. Okay, these are all past year questions. Now moving on to the next point, which is that you people may ask me, sir, when does the crime then actually begin in criminal law? Okay, the next question that you may ask me is, sir, when does the crime actually begin in criminal law? And the answer for that question, guys, is that the crime will begin from the stage of attempt. Okay, our final stage, crime is going to begin from the stage of attempt. And now, why will crime begin from the stage of attempt, guys? If somebody can answer this question, I will just wait for 2 seconds and see if somebody can answer this question. Alright guys, the crime is gonna begin from the stage of attempt because at the stage of attempt, the third element of injury will be introduced to the crime. Okay, the third element of injury will be introduced to the crime, and which is why a crime will begin from the stage of attempt. So you see guys, so far there was no injury. How? I wish she was dead. Any injury? No. I will kill her. Any injury? No. I will kill her by shooting her. Any injury? No. I get up, I go to an arms and ammunition shop, I buy a gun and I buy bullets and I go to a shooting range. Any injury? No. Injury is gonna occur at the stage of attempt, guys. Okay? Injury is gonna occur at the stage of attempt. How? At the stage of attempt, there are 3 possible scenarios. What? Scenario number 1. The boyfriend takes a shot, it hits the girlfriend and the girlfriend dies. Again, physical injury. What kind of injury will happen here? Physical injury, and it will be a case of murder. All right. Moving on to the second point, guys. The boyfriend takes a shot. The bullet hits the girl, but the girl does not die. Even then, there is physical injury, and even when the girl did not die, there will be the case of attempt to murder, guys. All right. And I'm sure you've heard about these crimes: attempt to murder, attempt to rape, attempt to kidnap, attempt to theft, so on and so forth. All right. Let us come to the third scenario, guys. In the third scenario, let's say the boyfriend takes a shot, the bullet misses the girl. It, passes the girl, let's say 2 inches away from her right ear. Now, there is no physical injury because there was no contact. The bullet did not ever contact the girl. But there is what kind of an injury, guys? There is definitely mental injury, okay? An injury, like I said, can be both physical and mental in nature. All right. So, like, for example, if I shoot you, even if the bullet doesn't hit you, of course, you will have mental injury. All right. So, there is again mental injury, and again, what crime? Attempt to murder. So, if you notice one thing, guys, in all these three cases, we had a crime of either murder in the first case or attempt to murder in the second and the third case. What was the common element here? The common element was injury. There was some type of injury, either physical or mental, that took place. Okay. And now I will just wrap up this session by discussing one last question with you guys. Okay. I will wrap up this session by discussing one last question with you guys. So let us say, guys, that A decides to kill B. And so what he does is, listen to me very carefully. All right. So what he does is that he loads his gun. All right. Just let me clear the board. So he starts looking for B. A decides to kill B. He starts looking for B. Then he finally finds B and he loads his gun. After loading his gun, he aims his gun at B. And after aiming his gun at B, he takes a shot. Okay? He takes a shot. The bullet doesn't hit B. Alright? After he takes a shot, the bullet passes B, but it doesn't hit B. Your question is, from which stage does the crime of attempt to murder begin? Okay? Your options for this question, guys, are the first option, from the point that A started finding B. Second option, from the point that A loaded the gun. Third option, from the point A took aim at B. And fourth option, from the point A took a shot at B. So these are the 4 options for your questions, guys. And your question is, from what point does the crime of attempt to murder begin? From the point A started looking for B. Option 2, from the point A loaded his gun. Option 3, from the point A took aim at B. And option 4, from the point that A took a shot at B. So I can see there are different options in this question, guys. I can see there are different options in this question. Now, I will try and help you solve this question, guys. I will help you solve this question. So you see, guys, a lot of you are telling me that, sir, the answer should be option C, which is from the point he took aim at B. And you are in a way right, guys. How are you right in a way? Because when the person takes aim at the other person, don't you think that is the point the other person is going to have mental injury? The moment I take aim at the other person, won't he have mental injury? Of course, he will have mental injury. So that point of mental injury should be the crime, should be the point of crime. But hold on for a second, guys. What does the question say? The question says that what will be the point of attempt to murder? Now, what does the word attempt in English mean, in Hindi mean, guys? It means koshish. Okay, trying to kill somebody. Now, tell me something. If I'm just aiming the gun towards you, is it trying to kill you? Will you just die by looking at the gun? Are you going to die just by looking at the gun? You won't. All right. So till the point that I'm just aiming the gun towards you, Yes, there is some kind of a mental injury, but it is not trying to kill you. This act is not gonna result in your death. There is attempt means that an act where you may have or you could have died. Just by looking at the gun, there is no possibility that you could have died. All right. But when I take a shot and the bullet misses you, by taking a shot, now was there a chance that you could have died? Did I now do the koshish of killing you? Of course, yes, I did. Of course, yes, I did. So the crime of attempt to murder will only begin from point number 4, which is when A took aim at B. But that said, you will ask me, but sir, mental injury occurred at point number 3, at option number 3. What is that? Well, that is a crime. That may be the crime of criminal intimidation, that may be the crime of criminal assault. It might be a lot of things, but it is not attempt to murder. All right. So if the question was from what point does crime begin in criminal law, then maybe your answer could have been option 3. Because yes, the crime of criminal assault does begin at option 3. But if the question is asking you from what moment does the crime of attempt to murder begin, then the correct answer for this question will be from the point that A took aim at B. All right. So you have to be very careful about what the question is asking you guys. All right. What the question is asking you, because look, the moment I change the main body of the question, either of these options, 3 or 4, could have been the right answer correspondingly or respectively. So always pay a lot of attention on what exactly is the question asking you. Okay. So this was it, guys. This was it. All right. This was it. And this was just a basic class on criminal law. I hope you were able to follow and understand the class. I can see that some of my students are also here. Some people who are not my students have already joined, have also joined this session. I hope you were able to follow the instructions. I hope you were able to follow the concepts in this class. Okay. I hope you were able to comprehend and understand everything. Now there are a couple of announcements that I wanted to make, guys. All right. For students who are already enrolled with us, I don't think this announcement is going to make a lot of sense, because I'm going to now talk to you about some of the batches that we have. All right. Uh, Now, if you want to enroll with us, guys, there are different batches that we run. We have 3 kinds of batches: the weekday batch, the weekend batch, and the Zephyr batch. All right. So there is one batch for students who are planning to drop 1 year. That's the Breeze weekday batch, where we have classes on the weekdays. This is relevant for students. This is relevant for all the students who are planning to drop, 1 year for the CLAT examination. Okay. Then there is another batch that we have, which is called the Breeze online weekend batch. This batch is relevant for students who are currently studying in class 12. This is a 1 year batch, guys. Okay. The classes will be conducted on the weekends, and right after your school, right after 5 days of your school, on the weekends you can come for these classes. We have 2 hours of classes on Saturdays and then 4 hours of marathon classes on the Sundays. We wrap up your entire syllabus before the boards once, then we give you a break for the boards. Now between the boards and the CLAT examination, there's a 1.5 month gap. In that gap, we wrap up or revise your entire syllabus all over again. All right. And finally, we have the third batch, guys, which is the Zephyr online batch. This Zephyr online batch is relevant for students who are in class 11th right now. This is a 2-year batch. All right. This is a 2-year batch for all those who are in class 11th right now. In this batch, again, in the first year, we wrap up your syllabus. In the second year, there is a revision of that syllabus. And in all these 3 batches, you will get more than 150 mocks. You will get study materials, of course, the classrooms, a very robust learning management system and LMS platform where you can practice questions online. You can take quizzes. You can do questions in a game format. You can watch recorded videos. So it's a very fun and user-friendly and interactive platform that you get when you enroll in any of these batches with us. The classes are being offered in both the online and the offline mode, guys. For all those who do not feel to come to classrooms, well, you can be a part of our online classes where the classes are conducted on Zoom. Should you wish that you understand things better in a classroom ambience, in a classroom atmosphere, then you can also enroll with us at the classroom centers. We have centers in Lucknow, Ranchi, Patna, Allahabad, Kanpur, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Delhi, Noida, all these cities. So should you find a center close to your house, you can definitely come and get enrolled in one of these centers. Another very important information that I need to give you people. All right, so this is the LMS, guys. You can look at the LMS. This is the LMS platform that we have. All right. These are the faculties that we have. All right. Now, these are the numbers for the different centers, guys. If you want to note down the numbers, if you are from one of these cities or close to one of these cities, you can definitely note down the number. If you are from neither of these cities, then you can definitely give us a call on the Lucknow number, which is our central headquarter. All right. And again, very important message that I want to give you at this point, guys, is that on the 24th of October, this 24th of October, we are conducting an all India open mock. All right. So this is an open mock which will be written by a lot of people all across the country who are preparing for the CLAT exam. So you will get a very real life result of, in all probability, what your CLAT result is going to look like. Okay, because like I said, lot of people from the entire country are going to take this mock. So with so many people, the rank that you will get would be a very true and real depiction of where you stand as compared to the competition, as compared to the crowd right now. All right. Okay. So that is all I wanted to discuss with you people, and thank you so much for attending this live session, guys. Thank you so much for attending this live session. I will be back soon with another live session on one of these areas of legal reasoning. Till then, have a great day and have fun, guys. Thank you so much. Bye, all of you.